than a cure can be found. And in sports, women's and men's basketball as well as wrestling have a jam-packed weekend in the Convo. See how things are shaping up for the Bobcats. Newswatch starts right now. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for all news impacting southeastern Ohio. Jackson City School District was closed today due to excessive absences caused by the flu. JCS Superintendent Phil Howard said all activities, including sporting events, club events, and the Sweethearts Dance, will be canceled this weekend. Jackson City School students who attend Buckeye Hills will also be excused from class. However, according to JCS board member Brian Morris, students who attend Buckeye Hills can still go if they want to, but no busing from Jackson will be provided. It's not just Jackson City schools suffering from the flu. More Athens County schools have also fallen victim to the flu season this time of year. Beacon School was closed today and will be closed Monday as well, while Federal Hocking was closed today due to the flu. Custodial and maintenance staff will be cleaning and sanitizing all classes and offices before classes resume. All other weekend activities, as well as activities taking place Friday evening, will still take place. 2 Athens County residents were arrested Monday on a search warrant in Gloucester. 29-year-old Gavin R. Smathers of Gloucester and 30-year-old Amanda Ziegler of Nelsonville were arrested on outstanding warrants. Smathers was indicted on counts of aggravated theft, grand theft, theft vandalism, breaking and entering, receiving stolen property, and aggravated possession of drugs. His bond has been set for $300,000, according to court documents. Ziegler was arrested on 2 cases involving community control violations and was previously convicted of aggravated possession of drugs and robbery. Her bond is set for $20,000. A woman in Mansfield lost $2,400 in a so-called grandparent scam. The 76-year-old woman received a call from a man on Wednesday claiming to be her grandson's lawyer and informing her that her grandson was in jail. The woman then wired the $2,400, but grew suspicious after the man called a second time, asking for a further $8,400. The woman eventually learned her grandson was not in any trouble after contacting family members. In another act of fraud, this time out of Louisville, Kentucky, 3 former police officers have avoided prison time after they were caught falsifying overtime records to collect pay for hours they didn't even work. Authorities say Louisville Metro officers Brian Stanfield, Todd Roadhouse, and Mark Final were sentenced to 3 years probation, each spending 8 months of their respective sentences on a curfew. The falsified overtime records were submitted between 2014 through 2017. The 3 officers altered arrest records to cover up the overtime pay and were ordered to pay back around $170,000 total in restitution. Now, let's take a first look at your local weather with Matt.
Thanks, Connor. Taking a look at our current radar, we can see some scattered snow showers starting from the northeast or northwest, skirting down into the Athens area to the south and east towards West Virginia. Those will continue to give us snow shower chances as we head into the evening hours. Those will start to taper off as we head early morning on Saturday. Looking at our snowfall, look at that pretty site near Baker Center here in Athens. Beautiful site there, lots of white. It was kind of blinding earlier if you were out there in the morning. And for totals, 2 inches this morning as we recorded by Nick Snyder, our other forecaster. 2 inches there measured on the measuring stick there. But across the region, we picked up an additional 1 inch here in Athens throughout the day with those moderate to heavy snow flurries. Down towards Ironton, we saw about the same thing. So those snowfall amounts did increase as we moved towards the mountainous terrain of West Virginia. Up towards Columbus, we saw about 1 inch of snow, and up towards Newark, that's our heaviest spot up there in the northern part of our area, 2.5 inches of snow. And same with Cambridge. New Martinsville saw about 3.1 inches. Now taking a look at tonight, we'll see those temperatures start to fall down into the 30-degree mark right now here in Athens. Breezy conditions, few snow showers. Those winds will start to back up off west-southwest at 5 miles per hour. Looking across the region, you see we're into the upper 20s, lower 30s for much of the region. 33 down in Ironton, just above the freezing mark. Now these temperatures are the real field temperatures. Now those road conditions are going to be quite icy as these temperatures start to fall and those road temperatures start to fall as well. Connor?
Thank you so much, Matt. Representative Jim Jordan is likely to become the new ranking Republican on the House Judiciary Committee. Jordan, a fierce supporter of President Trump, was a member of the president's impeachment defense team and a vocal critic of Democrats during the proceedings. The judiciary post is open due to Representative Doug Collins of Georgia is running for Senate. The full Republican conference usually approves the candidates that the Republican Steering Committee chooses for certain posts. While an Ohio representative is being endorsed on Capitol Hill, another Ohio State House candidate has had their endorsement revoked by the Ohio Republican Party. Representative Joe Dills was urged to withdraw from the March 17th primary by State Chairwoman Jane Timken. The reason? Because Dills had an account with an online dating site that encourages extramarital affairs known as Ashley Madison. Dills blamed what he called insiders in Columbus and affirmed he still has support. Dills said he had signed up for an Ashley Madison account while still single back in 2013 and never used the site to meet anyone or engage in illicit behavior beyond simply creating a profile. Dills is running against former Congresswoman Jean Schmidt and pistol instructor Dylan Blevins. Kentucky lawmakers have given final approval to a bill requiring police officers to carry weapons when assigned to schools. The bill is a follow-up to last year's school safety law, which did not specify whether school police officers needed to carry a weapon. The new bill's efforts to bolster school counseling had widespread support, but the requirement that school-based officers be armed did cause some disagreements, and it showed in Kentucky's House of Representatives, in which the bill passed by a vote of 78-8. And with the previous bill allowing school-based officers to carry weapons on school property getting approval, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is evaluating what people can and cannot bring onto state capitol grounds. Beshear says any changes by his administration won't restrict the ability to bring guns into the State House, though. The Lexington Herald Leader reports that umbrellas aren't allowed in the Capitol building, but that anyone can openly carry a gun so long as they legally own it. Exceptions exist in the Supreme Court House, the Senate chambers, as well as the House and Senate gallery. The Kentucky House continued their work in passing legislation after passing a bill that bans the paddling of students. The bill would prohibit schools from using corporal punishment upon their students. Kentucky is currently one of 19 states that allow corporal punishment in schools. Many critics of allowing corporal punishment in the classroom have called it ineffective, citing it fails to change behavior in a positive way. The measure has cleared the House and is on its way to the Senate. The coronavirus continues to spread, infecting more and more Americans. And the search for 2 Idaho children missing since last September continues, but new details have begun to surface. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Dogs and people.
The best duo in all of evolutionary history.
But what is the origin of our connection?
Are we going to do some work today?
Now, breakthroughs in behavioral science and genetics.
We've identified the genetic material that makes dogs form strong emotional bonds.
Unravel the story of our canine companion. Dog Tales on Nova.
You come to Vegas, the food is absolutely amazing. There's a secret sauce. How come you didn't teach me? It's a city that constantly is growing, and then you have this Chinatown. Your food is so good, it's unfair.
We have a traditional Taiwan food.
Mongolian hot pot.
Hainanese chicken.
Tempu noodles. Tempu noodles, nice.
Okay, perfect.
There we go.
No passport required.
From the first student protests to the millions who took to the streets against Beijing's control.
All acts are one step closer to terrorism.
Frontline takes you inside Hong Kong's battle for freedom.
In the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, all fighting for democracy is over the red line.
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover Women.
Welcome back. The House of Representatives has approved a $4.7 billion disaster relief package for Puerto Rico. The funds are aimed at helping recovery efforts after a series of earthquakes hit the U.S. territory recently. The legislation includes funding for community development block grants, road repairs, schools, and energy and tax breaks for residents. Although the bill passed in the House, it is unlikely to advance in the Republican-held Senate. Even if it does pass in the Senate, President Trump has threatened to veto it. Here is an alarming example of just how quickly the coronavirus can spread in close quarters. The number of confirmed cases on board the cruise ship, the Diamond Princess, has tripled, bringing the total to 61. American Rebecca Frazier was one of those infected, and she tells us what that experience was like.
Well, I haven't really been experiencing any symptoms. I have like a slight cough, but nothing crazy. And that didn't even really start until after I got my throat swabbed by the Japanese health people that came. I was notified that I will have to be transported to the hospital today within about an hour. And I may be there for 3 days to, I don't know how long.
And beyond the cruise ship, the coronavirus continues to spread. It's infected more than 31,000 and killed more than 630 people. People around the world, and more Americans were evacuated from China today, even as nearly a dozen Americans are stuck on a cruise ship in Japan. Stacey Cohen has the report.
Home at last. Hundreds of Americans evacuated from Wuhan, China, arrived in the United States via 2 chartered State Department flights on Friday, landing at Air Force bases in California and Texas, where passengers will now undergo a 14-day mandatory quarantine. There are now more than 31,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus worldwide, with at least 630 deaths. The majority of those are in mainland China. 2 cruise ships are quarantined due to infection risk. 11 Americans on board the Diamond Princess docked near Tokyo tested positive for the virus. One of those is Rebecca Frazier. Her husband, Kent, did not test positive.
A little bit scared. Hard to know what the future holds since I don't really feel sick right now. Like, is it going to get worse?
The Royal Caribbean ship Anthem of the Sea will delay its next cruise departure by 1 day following a coronavirus scare on board. 27 passengers who'd recently traveled to China were tested. 4 are under evaluation at an area hospital after a team from the CDC boarded the ship.
Whenever you have a situation where you have potential exposures, you want to make sure that if a person is exposed and is a high risk, you want to do further screening of the individual.
President Trump spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping Friday about the virus. So far, there are 12 documented cases in the United States. Public health officials believe the quarantines and enhanced screenings will help slow the spread of the virus. In Washington, I'm Stacey Cohen reporting.
Now, ways to prevent yourself from contracting this virus include many of the strategies that are used to prevent yourself from getting the common cold, such as staying away from infected individuals, washing your hands frequently, and not using alcohol-based hand sanitizers whenever you can. 911 calls connected to the mother and stepfather of a pair of missing Idaho kids have been released. 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua Vallow haven't been seen since late September 2019. Their mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, and her new husband, Chad Daybell, have refused to cooperate with authorities. The newly released 911 calls are all from incidents that happened after the children disappeared. Lauren Steinbrecher has more.
October 2nd, just days after JJ and Tylee go missing, a call comes in to Arizona police.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just shot my window.
A man named Brandon Boudreau tells police another man shot at him as Brandon drove home, shattering his driver's side window.
Did you see the guy that
I didn't see who it was.
Brandon told Fox 13 he believed the shooting was linked to his ex-wife Melanie Boudreau's newfound religious beliefs she shared with her aunt, Lori Vallow Daybell, the mother of JJ and Tylee.
Get out of my house!
Just over a month later, a dramatic 911 call came into American Fork, Utah police.
The police are on your way! Get away from my door! Now!
Melanie showed up to Brandon's father's house in Utah, driven by her uncle, Alex Cox, according to police reports.
Somebody tried to kill my son 3 weeks ago in Phoenix.
Oh, that's
and it's
terrible.
believed that she's involved in it.
Police arrested Melanie and cited her with trespassing. The uncle who drove her, Alex Cox, is the man who shot and killed Lori's late husband, Charles Vallow, in Arizona in July of last year, just a month after the incident in American Fork.
Yo, Alex, he's not breathing.
A man who identified himself as the son of Alex Cox's girlfriend calls police in Arizona.
He just passed out here on my bathroom.
Alex died. Add that with the October death of Tammy Daybell, the late wife of Lori's new husband, Chad Daybell, and it makes 3 deaths surrounding the Daybell couple, 2 missing kids, and 1 hope by police and the public those kids are found alive.
It has been reported by East Idaho News that a storage unit belonging to Lori Vallow was found filled with the children's personal items, photos, and clothing. The investigation is still ongoing. Can a simple potted plant help relieve stress in the workplace? That story is still ahead.
And I'll let you know when that snowfall will end. That's going on right now, our next chance for rain snow, and a first look at your weekend outlook. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
This is one of the most biodiverse places in the world, Florida. But powerful forces are threatening the state's wild creatures and iconic landscapes.
If Florida lost the reef tract completely, it's likely that we would see a place like Florida Keys completely washed away.
The war that we're fighting is bigger than the battle that we're winning.
Can Florida continue to weather the growing storm?
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover Women.
Dogs and people.
The best duo in all of evolutionary history.
But what is the origin of our connection?
Are we going to do some work today?
Now, breakthroughs in behavioral science and genetics.
We've identified the genetic material that makes dogs form strong emotional bonds.
Unravel the story of our canine companion. Dog Tales on Nova.
You come to Vegas, the food is absolutely amazing. There's a secret sauce. How come you didn't teach me? It's a city that constantly is growing, and then you have this Chinatown. Your food is so good, it's unfair.
We have a traditional Taiwan food.
Mongolian hot pot. Hainanese chicken. Tempura noodles.
Handful noodles, nice.
Okay, perfect.
There we go.
No passport required.
It's always cold in Ohio, and when it doesn't snow, there's just no point to the weather, in my opinion. So when there's snow, at least there's some outdoor activities we can do. It's just snowball fights, sledding, building snowmen. It's a blast.
And that was some of what we heard earlier this morning in Athens here. We can see those snow showers continuing. As you can see in some of those shots, they're continuing from the northwest down to the southeast, down towards West Virginia. So we should see those taper off as we head into the evening hours. Right now in Athens, we're seeing about 30 degrees, breezy conditions out there as that cold front has moved through. A few snow showers out there, like I just showed you on the radar, winds from the west-southwest at 5 miles per hour. Right now across the region, we can see 30 degrees here in Athens, 30 down in Ripley. So we're into the lower 30s, and we will continue to fall below freezing throughout the evening hours. Snowfall amounts look like this. We saw those lighter amounts towards the center part of Ohio and down towards the mountainous terrain down here near West Virginia, where we saw about 3 inches of snow. Precipitation chances, we're going to watch this a bit. We can see they start to increase as we head into the next week, and they continue for the next 7 days. So a wet forecast is in store for you. Looking at tonight, we can see this low pressure system has moved off the coast of New England. That gave us that snow that accumulated overnight. We'll start to see this one from the Great Lakes start to move into our region, sparking off some more tomorrow. See that slowly moves closer to the area into Indiana, and by Saturday night we could spark off a few snow showers, but then by Sunday we dry out as that cold front passes by, giving us a reinforcing shot of colder air. Looking at our temperature trend for tonight, we can see we'll start off about 29 degrees at 8 p.m. and we'll drop into the lower 20s, making those road conditions quite icy out there, even if they are salted. For tonight, we'll bottom out about 24 degrees, chilly conditions, but actually, this is quite normal for this time of year. A few lingering flurries are still possible. We'll see a south wind at about 0 to 5 miles per hour. Won't be a warm south wind at all. See, for Saturday, we see 38 degrees for our high. Again, that chance of rain, snow mix, especially in the afternoon hours as we see that reinforcing low pressure system moving in. By Saturday night, we fall to another chilly 24 degrees, a few lingering flurries as well, and a dry Sunday, best day out of our weekend, partly cloudy skies, few peaks of sunshine finally. Looking at our 7-day forecast, we start off next work week quite messy, 49 degrees and rain showers. We start to see a rain snow mix on Tuesday, 45 degrees. And a few isolated showers on Wednesday, but that's probably our driest day out of the next 5 days. And Connor, that's pretty much the story, how it's been. We've been really messy, and it's just been, we're going to have to watch the roadways this evening with those cold temperatures. So it might just be icy out there. So watch out for those bridges and overpasses as they can be a little bit breezy.
Thank you so much for all those updates, Matt. Be
Thanks.
sure to stay safe out there, folks. And if your job has you stressed, why not try putting a plant on your desk? That was what researchers in Japan suggested after observing an electric company's employees' stress levels pre- and post-involvement with plants change. They found that employees with a high anxiety measurement had a significant decrease in their stress levels after looking at a small potted plant. 27% of the employees in the study showed a significant decrease in their resting heart rate. The research also suggested that employees let their workers take 3-minute nature breaks to improve their employees' mental health.
And there's a lot of action taking place in the Convo this weekend. Find out who Ohio is hosting when Newswatch returns. But first, stay tuned to WOUB because here's a quick look at what's coming up on your public television station.
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover Women.
On American Experience, in the shadow of a world war, they were reluctant symbols of their people.
We invested so much in Joe Louis.
But when they stepped into the ring, the world stopped and watched two men, Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, fight for the title of Champion. The Fight on American Experience.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
How do you split up nicely from a girlfriend?
We should talk about life.
All of our ceremonies illustrate connectedness with all of creation.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Go to pbs.org/getpassport and find out how you can start streaming today.
You come to Vegas, the food is absolutely amazing. There's a secret sauce. How come you didn't teach me? It's a city that constantly is growing, and then you have this Chinatown. Your food is so good, it's unfair.
We have a traditional Taiwan food.
Mongolian hot pot.
Hainanese chicken.
Tempura noodles.
Handful noodles, nice.
Okay, perfect. There we go.
No passport required.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Jack Demler. Fresh off of a 75-65 victory at Eastern Michigan on Thursday, the Ohio women's basketball team returns to the Convo to host Kent State. The Bobcats are currently 1.5 games ahead of the Golden Eagles in the MAC East standing. The last time both these teams faced off was last season. Ohio came out victorious in both of last meetings, defeating Kent State 83-81 at home and 69-67 on the road. Tip-off for tomorrow's matchup is set for 1 o'clock. And right after the women's basketball game, the men's team will take the court as they look to break a 4-game losing streak. The Bobcats welcome MAC East rival Miami to the Convocation Center for round 1 of basketball's Battle of the Bricks. Both teams wrap up the bottom of the MAC East standings. After 4 straight losses in conference play, the Bobcats could really use a victory in the rivalry game to boost spirits. Despite the fact that both teams are not playing well, Coach Bowles knows how important this rivalry is.
Awesome rivalry. It's an arch rival, and I think both teams are struggling right now, but that doesn't take away from it's a Miami OU game. And I got a lot of great memories from those games. Some of my good friends today played on that teams, and I think it should be a great atmosphere.
As you could tell from listening to Coach Bowles, he understands how important this game is for both schools. Tip-off for that game is scheduled for 3:30. The Ohio wrestling team is back in action on Sunday as they welcome Northern Illinois and South Dakota State to the Convo for a dual meet. The Bobcats are coming into the match after splitting last weekend's 2 matches. Last Friday, Ohio fell to Central Michigan 25-15, but were able to get back on track as they defeated Bloomsburg 28-9. The Bobcats will look to build off of last week's victory during the dual meet. The dual meet is scheduled to start at noon on Sunday. And heading outside of OU, the Athens Bulldogs girls basketball team hosted River Valley Raiders for their senior night. And there you see Laura Mandrick's Memorial 1,000 Career Point basketball. Mandrick and the Bulldogs came into this game on fire. Right off the bat, Mandrick hits the 3 here, and if that wasn't enough to impress you, here's another. Another senior, Mindy Gregory, also had a great start to the game. Mandrick and Gregory combined for 13 of Athens' 16 first-quarter points. The Bulldogs started with a 16-10 first-quarter lead, but things soon fell apart as they were outscored 18-4 heading into half. The Bulldogs were plagued with turnovers all night as they had 21 total turnovers. Things never got better for the Bulldogs as they lost this game 49-39. Despite the loss, Mandrick dropped 20 points and collected 9 rebounds to cap off her storybook career. The Athens boys team is back in action tonight as they travel to River Valley to take on the Raiders. Following Tuesday's 72-63 victory over Vinton County, the Bulldogs now hold a half-game lead over the Alexander Spartans for first place in the TVC Ohio standings. Be sure to check out Hardwood Heroes for all scoring updates and recaps for Southeast Ohio basketball. A lot of basketball action around the Athens area. We'll be sure to follow it at WOUB. Back to you at the desk, Connor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jack. Now check this out. Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champ Sammy Watkins is giving back to his hometown community of Fort Myers, Florida. He gave a boost to a youth dance team scheduled to compete in New Jersey this weekend. At first, they didn't have enough money to travel, so Watkins stepped in to help.
We are just blown away. He's been doing so much in the community. He's an inspiration to everyone. All the boys growing up playing football, even the girls, they look up to him just because of the amazing things that he does for the community.
The Fort Myers Junior Firecats are set to compete at the YCADA Global Dance Competitions in Atlantic City tomorrow. Now, let's take one last look at the forecast from Matt. And I'm sorry about that. We're a little cut for time. But that does it well for the broadcast this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Connor Curick, and stay tuned for the PBS News Hour coming up next. And remember, you can find all the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a fantastic weekend. Flu season continues to hit Athens County hard.
On American Experience, in the shadow of a world war, they were reluctant symbols of their people.
We invested so much in Joe Louis.
But when they stepped into the ring, the world stopped and watched 2 men, Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, fight for the title of Champion. The Fight on American Experience.